Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino and UFC Fight Pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Iron Mario Lopez. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How about yourself?
We've got a busy show. We've got so much to talk about here. As we are now halfway through 2023. Time flies.
We
are. Yeah, it's now
That's
July.
Right. You know what? The sun came out finally here in LA.
And
so I'm excited about that.
And so did my shorts and sandals.
Oh God! You go chanclas year round. What are you talking about?
Absolutely. All right, we have so much to talk about. Here's the bout sheet for tonight's show. Big baby in Toledo, Canelo. He throws a screwball at everybody. He's facing Charlo. And we have an interview with Jaron Ennis, who headlines on Showtime, and Vergil Ortiz. He is back in action. But folks, this show is sponsored in part by the Hustler Casino. It's our favorite local Los Angeles casino and home of the most popular poker live stream in the world, a Southern California staple since the year 2000.
Also, shout out to our boy Oscar Lopez, no relation, from Scalp Micro LA. His company offers a unique and very innovative hair loss solution for men. They specialize in a pigmentation known as SMP. Basically, it replicates the exact shape and size of hair follicles by tattooing little particles of pigment into the scalp, giving the illusion of hair. Don't trip. It's actually very realistic. And it'll last forever. You can see the results in as little as one treatment. They create and restore hairlines, give the appearance of density to thinning hair. So if it's starting to go, it'll look a little thicker. If you've got a scar there, they can conceal it with hair translation, camouflage burns, what have you. They use the highest qualities. If you're going bald or you're just looking for a new look this summer, check out our homies over at Scalp Micro LA and mention this ad for a free consult.
If you're getting thin, they'll help fill you in. All right, let's get started.
Round 1.
Mario, last week we talked about the PBC and Canelo new 3-fight deal, and we said, okay, it's going to be September 16th against Jermell Charlo. Well, in the immortal words, to paraphrase Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes, we knew nothing.
Wow, you went Hogan's Heroes reference. Dang! Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about right now.
But anyway,
I can appreciate
it turns out that on September 30th, he'll be taking on Jermell Charlo, the undisputed 54-pound champion. Now, Mario, I'll just lay it out there. Even though Jermell Charlo's coming off of a bit of a layoff, and it's 2 weight classes he has to jump up, in my view, I think it's an upgrade.
It is an upgrade, and in my view, the more dangerous Charlo. The other ones, I think he's the slightly more talented one. I think he has a style that will give Canelo more problems as opposed to his brother I'm talking about. And I think the brother with the inactivity, I don't think it would have been as competitive. This is a fun fight. And there was like a weird thing going on for a while that Canelo wouldn't face any brothers out there, right? So this ought to obviously take care of that notion. And he signed with PBC for these next 3 fights coming up, and I'm hoping we get a lot of different looks and styles, and I think this could be a very entertaining fight. I think we're not going to see, obviously, a weight-drained Charlo, but a guy who's hungry, who realizes the opportunity in front of him, and I think an athletic guy who moves a lot, and historically, these are the ones that have been given Canelo fits. Do I think the wheels are falling off, and he's like on his last legs? No, but I think that Charlo will prepare himself well and rise to the occasion, and it'll make for an entertaining fight. Yes, I'm leaning towards Canelo, but I think it will be an entertaining fight, and I'm not mad at it. I mentioned, obviously, last week that I would like to see Benavidez, but I think this fight in this next 3-fight run is a great way to start.
Yeah, Jermell Charlo is coming off a year layoff, or will be not have fought for about 16, 17 months, but keep this in mind, Jermell Charlo literally has not fought since the summer of 2021. That alone is an upgrade. So, Mario, I have a question. You think it's going to be more like Golovkin-Brook, which saw Special K actually have some moments and trouble Golovkin with this speed, but then overpowered? Or doomsday scenario for Canelo. Let's say he really has lost a couple inches off the fastball. Any chance it becomes Pacquiao De La Hoya?
I don't know if it's necessarily Pacquiao De La Hoya, because keep in mind, Oscar had not fought that weight in a long time.
He was dead at the weigh-in.
He was dead at the weigh-in.
Jeez.
I don't think that's going to be the case necessarily for Canelo. And I don't think, and when you say lost a few miles off the fastball, Canelo is so fundamentally sound and so defensive-minded and at such a high level that even with it dropping a couple notches, it's still way above a lot of elite fighters out there. But enough of the tread on the tire that has been worn, a young, hungry guy like Charlo, who's very athletic and quick twitch, could give him some problems. So enough could have he could have, I hate to use the word deteriorated, but it could have, you know what I mean, a little wear and tear.
Descent.
A slight descent. Well, but
right,
which is inevitable,
fair.
right? Father time.
65 fights in, it's natural.
Absolutely. And so I think there could possibly be enough of a descent, and you've got a young guy with a lot of athleticism and those quick twitch fibers that we're talking about. It could potentially, not necessarily Pacquiao De La Hoya, but kind of in that direction. Or at the same time, I think the example you gave with Triple G, that could be the case. Somewhere in the middle, I think, might be where we might fall.
Yeah, when you have a fighter that's very athletic and quick, when they move up in weight, they do have an advantage in speed. But again, keep this in mind. He's not just moving up one weight class, but two. And people will bring up Shane Mosley against De La Hoya. But I point this out. People forget. Shane Mosley had 2 fights in between. He fought Wilfredo Rivera, where he really struggled in his welterweight debut, and then blew out Willie Wise. When it comes to Jermell Charlo, gutty, battle-tested. But if he fights like he did in the first fight with Castano, laying on the ropes, not real busy, static with his feet, I don't think he has much of a shot. Now, the second fight,
I was just going to say,
the formula.
That's the formula, and I thought he made a real nice adjustment because to be honest, and I'll admit when I'm wrong, I thought Castano on the heels of that first fight was going to be too much for him for the second, and he really impressed me, and he showed me he's got some layers to his game, and he was able to pivot, make the adjustments that he need to, and it looked like a completely different fighter. So, you're going up against a real guy in there.
So there you have it. September 30th, Jermell Charlo climbs up. It's undisputed against undisputed as he faces Saul Canelo Alvarez. Moving on, this past weekend from the Huntington Center, holy Toledo on ESPN. Jaron Ennis won, but it was not without drama. Buzzed twice by former belt holder Charles Martin. Mario, your thoughts? Are you up or down on the stock of the real big baby?
Well, first of all, when you said holy Toledo, I want to give a shout out to Top Rank that they put the fight in Toledo. That was a great atmosphere.
Electric.
It was electric. It was a lot of fun. I love when they go into these hometowns. You look, for the big events, I get it. Obviously, it's you go
casino
to
money.
Well, yeah, you got the casino money, whether it's Vegas or Atlantic City, but at the end of the day, it ends up being Vegas. But if we can stop maybe going to Saudi Arabia is off, and I know it's hard to turn down that dough, but when you start, like when Boom Boom Mancini used to go back to Youngstown, or even
Kelly Pavlik did the same.
Kelly Pavlik, and exactly, or in Fresno with Ramirez as of late, or even in this case Toledo, it makes a big difference.
That's how you build fan bases.
That's how you build fan bases. It makes it television friendly. You can feel the energy with the audience. I still really like the kid, and I'm going to tell you why. Look, there were some holes last night. But I feel because he is young, they're defensive lapses that can be fixed. He pulls back with his head, right? Against those big guys, you can't really do that. He gets clean a little too hit sometimes. I feel he likes to get his punches off, and then he'll kind of fall asleep a little defensively.
Take a picture, as they say.
He'll take a picture, exactly. But his issues were defensive. And because he's young and he's been doing it so long, I feel he can right that ship. What I did like a lot was he was aggressive from the start. Maybe this was the hometown thing that we say it's sort of a double-edged sword. He wasn't necessarily trying to force the knockout, but he was being a little aggressive in there. And Assabi was being aggressive. I like that he was able to switch. And ironically, when he switched to southpaw, that's when he hurt him. But then he went back with the right hook. But then he went back conventional. But every time he pulled back with his head straight. I was thinking Martin, who, by the way, props to him for taking the fight on 10 days' notice. And he's a big kid. I didn't realize that. And when I said, if he's able, because he barely missed him in the first couple rounds. If he was able to lay that left hand, I go, ooh, that's going to be dangerous. Because you can tell he's got some pop there. Well, he's got a lot of knockouts. And when he did catch him, what was it, the fifth?
Yes.
When he did catch him and he had him little Bambi, I like how he reacted. He bit down on that mouthpiece. He showed some grit, and he went back and did not get intimidated or let it get to him. That showed me some heart. And that showed me, okay, this kid's got something here. Now, he made an adjustment and was able to kind of get back to boxing and have some moments. But in the 10th round, when he got buzzed yet again, whoa, he's lucky there was not that much time left or another 2 rounds, because I thought my guy was going down at that point.
So hold on, would you say, you of all people, he was saved by the bell?
Oh, my God.
I was waiting for that one.
Do you have a wah-wah thing? Boo, boo, right here. Yeah, and was it me, or did he have his mouth open oftentimes? I don't know if that was fatigue or it's just a bad habit, but another guy or a top-tier guy, he leaves himself at the end of his punches and pulling back like that. I don't think I question his chin as much than his defensive lapses, because I thought he took those shots well. That's a big, strong guy who's got a lot of knockouts that with some pop, and when you get hit by heavyweights, that's what's going to happen. But he does have to be, I think, because he is athletic, make himself small, get himself inside, be busy, keep that head moving, not pull back, stuff that he could work on. But the character stuff, the way he reacted, I like it. And I think he's still, I know people are jumping off the bandwagon. I think he's still a dangerous young guy that will hopefully make the adjustments that he needs to defensively.
You know who agrees with you? Larry Merchant called me and he said, Steve, I love this guy.
Good.
Like sometimes we're not looking for perfection.
And that's a guy that I really admire. Yeah. That was a dangerous opponent he had.
Larry says, guys, you always look for perfection. There is no perfect fighter. But it does concern me. One thing Joe Goosen always says, sometimes you're better off being all the way in close because there's safety and shelter inside. Right. Unless you have the reflexes and the feet like Muhammad Ali, pulling back all the time. And here's the thing. This is how much heavyweights have grown. Even at 6'4", which Jaron Anderson is, and 245, 250-ish.
Big boy.
He's kind of a smaller heavyweight, though, at the upper levels.
How big is Martin? He looked huge in there.
He's about 6'6".
Yeah, he's a big boy.
So,
and those were long arms. And a southpaw.
So as you kind of like look ahead and you're like, wow, this guy's a real tall, big guy. This guy has a lot of length. This guy has reach. There are things to work on. Keep this in mind. He's only 23 years old, and he's 15-0. And another thing, and Antonio Tarver pointed this out in one of his videos, and it's very apparent. Jared Anderson has a lot of athleticism, but when it comes to punching, he's got to do a better job of turning over his knuckles. And because a lot of his punches are actually not hitting on the barrel of the bat, as they say. That's another little thing that they have to work on.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact he said, look, rest of the year, I want 2 more fights. Because activity is the only thing that's going to get him better. He's been a pro for 4 years. That's only his 15th pro fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think his issues are fixable. And he's young. And he just sort of takes little naps or takes a picture after he has some success. I do like the way he was fighting ambidextrous, little imitation of Terrence Crawford, and he's actually got some pop when he was able to do that, like we mentioned. He dropped him, but I was more impressed for the way he reacted once he did get hit. Like I said, when he bit down and he fought back, and he didn't let it discourage you. Okay, that showed me character, and you can't teach that.
Well, Mar, I have a question. Are you worried, or does it raise any concern that he got very emotional with Roy Jones when they did that top-ranked vignette last week where he talked about, I don't want the pressure. And I want to be out of this game. I want to be in and out. And so he's 23, and he says, well, by 26, 27, I'm gone. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute.
No.
Well, what are we doing here?
Well, first of all, no, that's just talk. Look.
You think so?
Yeah, because as he gets further in his career, he's going to start making money. Nobody likes to walk away from money, Kim. Nobody walks away from money. I don't care how much you got. They don't like to walk away from big paydays. And if he continues to develop and stay on this track, he'll have some big paydays.
Yes. Also on this undercard, Arslanbek Makhmudov.
God bless you.
Yeah, they absolutely had a couple of layups here on the ESPN co-features. He blew out a former basketball player from the University of Miami. I'm actually surprised it went that long and it only went 4 minutes. Also,
real quick, I forgot to say, as far as one last thing with Jared Anderson, I think he should fight Jared Miller for the big baby moniker. They got him.
Yeah, that's a good style for him. Now,
that'd be fun. That'd be a fun fight.
That would be a fun fight.
And whoever loses can't call themselves Big Baby anymore.
Well, the thing with Jermell Miller is he's wider than he is tall.
Yeah.
So all those you could pull back all you want at that point. That's a very good style for Anderson. Also, Abdullah Mason. Again, he had another layup. In fact, not even a layup. This was a slam dunk on a Nerf hoop. But I like this young man out of Cleveland, Ohio, just 19 years old. He's got all the tools. He's the very definition of a quicksilver southpaw. Speed, reflexes, technique. I think he's a blue chipper. Now, our guy Tim Bradley says he's a young Floyd Mayweather, the pretty boy. I'm like, whoa, let's pump the brakes here like Fred Flintstone. I mean, again, based on the opponent that he faced, but like I said last week, Abdullah Mason, if he was a stock, He's Apple in 1998. I would buy handfuls of it. All right, when we come back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, we talk to a blue chip contender by the name of Jaron Ennis, who headlines this week on Showtime. We'll be back with more 3 Knockdown Rule.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by way, you get 10 grand.
Cover my fucking straddle!
For my fans!
What? I read it twice!
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Raise it up.
All right, joining us right now on the championship hotline on the 3 Knockdown Rule is one of the most talented young contenders in the sport today, Jaron Ennis, 30-0, 27 knockouts, the IBF interim welterweight titleist, ranked 3rd in the division by Ring Magazine, and now he faces Roymond Villa this Saturday night in Atlantic City on Showtime. Boots, let's get back into this. Let's go back a little bit in January. You faced Karen Chavakian, very difficult style. I'm pretty sure it's not the performance or the way you wanted to win, but how much of that was ring rust and how much of that was Karen's just really negative style?
I mean, well, first of all, I'm glad I went 12 rounds. You know, it was good to go 12 rounds, and I should have got out on a bad night. So what you think I'm gonna do on a 100% night? So but it was a blessing, you know, and I'm glad I went 12 rounds, and I wouldn't say so much ring rust. I feel like it was just me just being like excited. Like I wanted to like get the knockout real bad, and I went in there looking for it. And I need like this camp. I went back to like just being me, having fun, and not looking for the knockout. And that's how you gonna get the knockout, not looking for it. So y'all gonna see on July 8th, we gonna shine.
Good for you, man. Yeah, you're right about that. You gotta let those knockouts come, not try to force it. And it's ironic too, because sometimes you have a performance like that, and then people are more apt to want to face you, which is a good thing in your case, because a lot of people prior did not want to face you. If you win and get out of there unscathed pretty clean, will you be looking to fight again this year?
You know, when I win, you know, we looking to definitely have 3 fights in this year. You know, maybe come back in the rain like November or December. You know, trying to figure some things out, but. You know, we ain't looking past Roymond Villa. You know, he's a good fighter, but he in my way, you know, we like to make a statement, so we got to get ran over.
You know, speaking of Roymond Villa, he actually fought as a co-feature on the card that you were on.
Rashidi Ellis.
And he ran down Rashidi Ellis. Number one, did you watch that fight? What were some of your thoughts? And do you think that style fits better for what you want to do than, let's say, Karen Chavakian?
I mean, I feel as though at the end of the day, I feel like any guy that I face, they never fight me how they supposed to fight anybody else. The last guy Karen out for, if you watch some of his tapes, you know, I watched some of his fights after I fought him, and I would just like to see what he was going to do and things like that. And I see he's like walking people down, going forward. Then when he fought me, he just was all over the place. That's another example why we don't really watch, you know, the guys that we face, because you never know, they might switch their whole game plan just like that, you know. But you just got to be prepared and be able to adjust, you know. And But I feel like Villa style, you know, telling me, for me, you know, come forward, pressure fighter, swing a lot of wild punches, no defense. It's gonna be a great night. You know, it's gonna be fireworks.
Yeah, stylistically, it should be a lot of fun and fun for the viewer at home. A couple of other guys around your weight class, Crawford and Spence. Your thoughts on that upcoming fight?
Crawford Spence fight is a great fight. You know, 50-50 fight, and I don't know who's gonna win, but. You know, I feel like it's gonna come down who in the best shape. You know, whoever, you know, hungry. You know, whoever want to take those belts from each other. You know, dig down deep, and you know, just want to win.
I'm just curious, since we're talking about those two guys, if you were to face them, who stylistically do you favor against yourself? Meaning, who's a better style for your fight with you potentially?
I feel like both of them. Like I said before, I really don't even care who won between those two guys. I just want to be able to show my skills against the top guys and not, you know, the lower level guys. I feel like, you know, the top guys that bring a different side out of me, you know, and I'll be able to show my, you know, my true skill.
Boots, I have a question though. I know that
all young fighters are very precocious. They want to get to places, and they care about their careers, not the overall sport. When Spence Crawford was wavering, it may not happen. Was there a part of you that was hoping, okay, I hope it doesn't happen so I could fight for one of the belts, or at least someone can vacate, because if they move up, because the reality is, Boots, I'm being told that no matter what happens July 29th, they're going to have a rematch, which is going to set back your aspirations to fight for the major world title. Was there any part of you that was disappointed that this may actually hinder or delay your title shot?
I mean, I like, it was like 50-50 with me. I ain't really care, and then I'm like they need to fight because everybody want to see it, and things like that. But if they do have a rematch clause after they had the first fight, and I gotta wait, that's fine with me. I'll take the winner of Vergil Ortiz and Stanionis, or I'll fight one of the older guys, Keith Thurman or Ugas, one of those guys.
Well, you mentioned Vergil Ortiz, and to me, you and Vergil are sort of like the younger version of a potential mega fight like Crawford in Spence. Are you keeping any tabs on him? He happens to fight the same night.
No, I mean, I don't keep no tabs on nobody. I just want to fight the top guys. I don't really care what's really going on. As long as they fight each other and we fight each other, I really don't care. I just want everybody to fight each other and make the fights happen. Make the big fights happen. Everybody wants to see them. It's time to stop, waiting.
Boots, you're now 26 years old. You've been a career welterweight, and there comes a point in time where everyone's body just grows, and you're bursting at the seams. You stay in shape. I know that religiously throughout the year. But are you making it clear you are not moving up to 54 until you get at least a title shot or a belt or two at 47?
Yep, you said it perfectly. I'm not leaving 47 until I leave all the belts, or at least two of the belts, but the main goal is to collect all the belts at 147 and then go to 54 and do the same thing at 54 and then 60 and maybe even 68. I think it's gonna be time though. I feel like I got like another year and a half at 47, but I feel like I can make this weight as long as I can. As long as I want.
What do you walk around at right now, Boots?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
I'm about to say I fight this week, so I'm not waiting.
Pardon me. That's not fair. I'm sorry. 2 months ago. Not right now. Pardon me. I meant, because you look so casual. Yeah, I meant 2 months ago, let's say you didn't have the fight lined up. I know, like Kim said, you do stay in the gym, but normally what do you walk around at?
No comment.
Wait, there's no doubt. By the way, you always make the weight, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. I don't know why people you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter.
When I'm out of camp, I don't get on a scale at all. Like I don't know. Like I'll be up there though. I get up there.
You be up there? Really?
I know I'll be up there because everything get like fat. Like I pause, but like my face, like arms, everything, like
you get okay, when you do step on the scale, when you realize how much you gotta lose, about what's that number?
Oh, when it's time for me to go on scale, I usually be like 65, but I know I'd be more than that because I bring my weight down before I get on the scale.
Oh damn, you be kicking it higher heavier than me. Well, before 65 to get
you ever look at Boots Ennis baseball card stats? Walk around right, just says up there. So that's all.
You ain't right. He said he had a cut to 65 before he gets to camp. Up there. Damn, it's right. Hey, respect.
It's not really a cut. It's like when I'm in camp, I usually just wait till I don't get on scale till like the first 2 weeks of camp. So I do it like that.
Got it.
And then I take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Last year, 2022, I thought was a frustrating year, not only for Boots, but all his fans. And, I've been a big advocate of his. Last year, he fought basically 4 minutes, fought in Carson, 2-round fight, and then you only fought once. How frustrating was that for you?
It was, it was frustrating because, I like to stay active. It was up to me, I'll fight every other month or every month. Like, I just like to fight and I like beating people I love, winning, love knocking people out. So it was up to me, I'd be fighting every month, every other month, something like that. But it was definitely frustrating a little bit. Crawford and Spencer was holding up the division, and then other guys didn't want to really move until they had made their final say so they was gonna fight each other or not. And so it was a lot of things going on like that. But at the end of the day, you just gotta be patient though. That's all.
Yeah, it was interesting because last year, or even at the beginning of this year, Boots would tweet, "I'm ready to go training. I've done this. I've sparred. A fight date coming soon," and it'd be like nothing. And geez, how many times did you think you were gonna fight prior to, let's say, January, from the time that you fought Custio Clayton? How many fight dates did you think you had set?
I know after that fight, they told me I was going to fight in October, or it was October, and I think I was supposed to be fighting Stanionis, and we was waiting and hear back from them, and then, but everybody, like I said before, everybody was just waiting to see what Spencer Crawford do, because Stanionis right there, and you got the WBA, I think the regular or something like that.
Yeah, the regular.
Yeah, so and they kept telling him, I think they was telling him that he was going to be able to fight Spence, so he was waiting, and then after that, they said, I was like, all right, you want to fight in November? And I was like, all right, I'm going to fight in November. And it was still supposed to be Stanionis. He was just waiting around. And then I got a call, and they said that Bud wasn't fighting Spence. He fighting, I think, Avanesian. And then I got the call from the IBF that, had the opportunity to fight for the interim belt. So then we took that for the 7th.
Your patience is to be commended right there. I like that you don't let yourself get out of shape, even though you do gain weight.
He's up there. He's up there.
He's up there. That's great. How's your time spent when you're not in the gym? What you into? What you doing?
I don't think it's never a time I'm not in the gym. I'm always in the gym. Even like helping my dad with the fighters that he got. My dad just started training Andy Cruz and things like that. So after this fight, after I won, on Saturday, I'm gonna be right back in the gym, helping my dad with, the rest of the fighters that my dad got, and that's about it. But I used to play basketball, just chill with the fam, go bowling, just stuff like that. I just like to have fun.
Mario,
you about that life?
Little vacation here and there.
Mario, I've known Bozy, his father, for years. It's amazing how fit and active he is. He's about that life. Trust me. Boots was raised in a certain way. This is not just a habit for him. This truly is a lifestyle. Boots, before we let you go, and again, thank you for your patience. We really do appreciate that. You're now fighting in Atlantic City, which is very close to Philly. But it's not really Philly. And I've thought for years that guys like you and Stephen Fulton, based on the talent and your accomplishments, could help bring that back. But the old days.
It is Philly based though, because I'm familiar with it. All of when you go to Atlantic City, everybody there's from Philly.
Yeah,
it's like everybody there's from. Am I right?
Yeah, it's mostly like that though. Most of the time, everybody it's only 40 minutes from Philly, 45 minutes.
Yeah,
everybody just go there.
Burbank, Santa Monica.
No, I've taken the train there from Philly to Jersey, and then that's an adventure, by the way. That train ride. Any plans for you to actually headline though in the city of brotherly love upcoming?
Hopefully in this, soon, maybe in November or December when after this fight, maybe I might come home and fight in Philly. I think the city need that, me fighting in Philly, Scooter fighting in Philly, Danny, J-Rock, I feel like that'd be a crazy card. We always on the same card.
All right, so after this fight, don't get too up there and wait, because we expect to see you again.
I like that. I'm gonna tell next time somebody asks me, I'm gonna say, I'm up there.
I'm up there. How much did you wait till you gain during Christmas? Oh, we're up there. We're up there. Anyway, Boots, always a pleasure to talk to you. Please stay well. Say hi to your father for me, and we really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Boots.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
And that was Boots Ennis, and we'll be back more with the 3 Knockdown Rule. Jaron Boots Ennis for his time and patience of the 3 Knockdown Rule. Folks, if you'd like to get involved with the 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show, we still have some slots available. Please reach out to us by emailing info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid.io is an online platform
that is launching soon that helps public figures and professionals in the world of boxing get sponsorships. We are proudly working with boxbid.io.
Review preview.
Fight review, fight preview. This past weekend on ESPN Plus, Manchester, England, we have a new women's undisputed super middleweight titleist, Savannah Marshall. She defeats Franchon Cruz-Dezurn over 10. And knockout candidate of the year from Sheffield, England on the zone, Dalton Smith with an overhand right, kaboom over Sam Maxwell.
Right on the temple. That was nice, huh?
Wow, that was like an axe that came through.
Yeah, that was like he was pitching.
Yes.
Like it was like throwing a fastball.
Well, he hit the strike all right.
Yeah, he did.
And by the way, Franchon Cruz-Dezurn did something that I've never seen before. She's the main event. She's a defending champion. Everyone's in the ring. They're doing the national anthems. She sung the U.S. national anthem. She didn't win the fight. She won the anthem, though. She won the talent portion of that contest. So God bless America on this 4th of July week. Moving ahead, this Saturday, on the zone from the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas, he's back. Vergil Ortiz, a prospect that we were very, very high on, takes on the rugged anvil, Imantas Stanionis. Wow, I think this is the battle of the unknown. Mario, check out this stat. One guy has not fought, this being Stanionis, since April of 2022 against Ravdat Butayev. While Vergil Ortiz, this is only his second fight since August of 2021. This fight needs to be sponsored by WD-40.
You know, and the frustrating thing is that both these guys can fight, know how to fight, and for one reason or another, I think it was health issues the first couple of times with Ortiz.
Rhabdomyolysis twice.
Yeah, so you can't blame the guy, right? But what are we getting now, and how? I'm not familiar with what he was dealing with. I don't know how much of a toll it takes on your body. From what I'm hearing, he's healthy and he feels good. I know he's a big kid for this weight class too, so we're going to find out a lot because he's going up against a tough guy in this timeout. But if he's able to look good in a victory, it puts him right back in the mix with the top tier guys right here.
You know, I have to be honest, and people have asked me this. As high as I am on Boots, and you've asked me this, based on resume, which we know about, not projecting ahead or who'd win, what style, who has better wins?
Ortiz.
If Ortiz beats Stanionis, it is Vergil.
No, I agree.
It is Vergil.
Even prior, I would say so far.
Yes.
It's Vergil, but especially if he beats him. That's an interesting fight in looking ahead. Stanionis is not by any means a gimme, but in looking ahead to Boots, who we had on earlier, that's an interesting fight, and I kind of alluded to it. If they build it up properly, it could have those Crawford Spence vibes.
Yeah, let's not wait 5 years because here's the reality: both guys are going to grow out of this weight class.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I actually think they're going to probably end up meeting closer to 54, and I think it'll be a better fight.
Stanionis is a rugged, heavy-handed guy who wears people down. Just looking at his body, I mean, he just rocked up.
So Ortiz too. You know, two-fisted attack, likes to come forward. This is going to be ironically 4th of July weekend. It's fireworks.
I do have some questions about Ortiz physically on the inside. When you've had rhabdomyolysis twice.
What is that again?
It's basically when you overtrain and your kidneys, I think, shut down, your body functions just kind of come to a halt.
Yeah.
A product, really, of overtraining. So I just wonder, the first time he gets hit right to the gut or takes some body shots, how does he react? We don't know.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, exactly.
And I would say that for both men, each are facing the best puncher that they have ever faced.
That's going to be a good one.
News and notes.
Moving on to news and notes. Mario, this kind of surprised me. Zhilei Zhang, the great Big Bang out of China, will be taking on Joe Joyce. That'll be set for September 23rd in London. Back when they fought in April, Zhang just dominated Joyce. I'm actually surprised that Joyce activated this rematch clause. I don't see what changes, to be honest with you. But Mario, I want to ask you about the heavyweight class. When you look at Tyson Fury, does not really have a fight yet. Deontay Wilder is begging Andy Ruiz not to be a fourth-grade educated guy, a slave to whatever. That was a wacky interview.
That was a wacky
That was
tweet.
wacky.
I was like, wait, what? He called him a sex slave?
A sex slave.
What happened?
Yeah, a lot of whores. But then Anthony Joshua, I think, is fighting Dillian White, which is kind of like making Caddyshack 2, as far as I'm concerned, without Bill Murray. I don't know.
Hey, you mentioned Anthony Joshua, and it might be a little too soon, but down the line, maybe 2 fights away, I'd love to see him and Jared Miller.
Oh,
that'd be fine.
They've actually talked about it, but remember,
fun?
They were supposed to fight in 2019, and Jermell Miller basically tested positive for the whole pharmacy. So I don't know. Remember, Eddie Hearn took that kind of personally when he was with us.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Are you now starting to have? I know you're a big fan of Tyson Fury. I know that you like him. You get but you know when he lies, when his lips move. I mean, there's got to be a lack of credibility, isn't there?
But the thing is, I don't think he's ducking anyone. I don't know what it is. Does he really want to fight anymore? He's made a lot of money. He doesn't have anything to prove necessarily.
Isn't he fighting Ngannou this week? Before it changes? By the time the show airs, the Ngannou fight's going to be...
And why would you... One would think that he would have... He wouldn't be facing as dangerous of an opponent in Usyk, just considering the size.
Right.
Because when he had a big puncher with Wilder and what have you. But because of whatever reluctance or whatever that fight didn't get made, I don't know. I'm like kind of tripping on why I don't know if he even wants to fight anymore, to be honest.
The thing that gets me is every week there's a new report of when Fury and who Fury's going to fight. And then inevitably... a day or two later, he tells all his dossers none of it's true, and he's doing this. So Frank Warren will say, okay, we're going to fight King Kong in Saudi Arabia in October. We're like, okay, so then we report it. 48 hours later, no, I'm fighting the Easter Bunny in Liverpool.
Yeah, and it wasn't Ngannou either. It was John Jones he was talking about.
Are you sure? I've lost track.
He might have started with Ngannou, but the latest was John Jones because they were going back and forth.
Okay, by Wednesday it'll be Tank Abbott. I pulled one out there.
But Hogan's heroes, Tank Abbott.
But there's one heavyweight fight that really is for all the marbles. Him and Usyk.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think he doesn't want it. Believe it or not.
But why? One would think that if he just keeps at it doesn't seem like that would be stylistically not as dangerous as a fight than his last three. It's weird. I don't understand.
Right. And as for Anthony Joshua, what is being reported is I guess they're going to rematch Dillian White in the late summer. Look, to me as an American, I don't really care about it. I get it from the UK angle. They have a rivalry. They already fought once. Activity's important because I guess the plan is in December in Saudi Arabia, talk about a fight that was overcooked and burnt to a crisp, Wilder versus AJ in the Middle East. You still have any interest in that?
Would you rather see that or would you rather see Wilder Ruiz?
I'd rather see the two big guys, Joshua and Wilder.
You don't think it'd be competitive
with Wilder? I mean, Ruiz, no. I think the problem with Ruiz is he's not reliable. And I will say this, let me be very fair. I don't think he deserves 50-50.
No, I agree. He doesn't.
And if he's going to stand on that, I'm going to say, you're kind of doing some duckage here.
60-40 fair?
60-40 or 65-35.
Yeah, that's more fair. But if they agree to 60-40, I think that wouldn't be too bad. I would actually like to see that fight. I would.
Yeah.
Look, he stays outside. We know what's going to happen, but I think his hands are quick enough that he can make it interesting.
If he gets past the first 4 rounds,
that's what I'm saying.
And he's a pretty fluid guy despite his shape. And he starts slipping, and he's got those quick, fluid hands.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Look, it makes it interesting.
The time that you saw Deontay Wilder live was October of 2021, right? That's been about 2 years. He's fought 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know, even though he blew out Hellenius, we don't know anything about Deontay Wilder if he's going to fall apart like that car in Blues Brothers that we talk about.
The same after Fury. You're exactly right. No, I actually hope that fight gets made.
All right, so when we come back here on the 3 Knockdown Rule, we wrap it up with Ask Mario and Final Flurries. And we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule. Steve Kim, Mario Lopez talking all things boxing. And we now move on to the Ask Mario segment of this fine program. Here's one from Adam Logan. And I think he's referring to what took place with Jaron Ennis. How do you draw the line between boxes being ticked or warning signs? One man's chin check is another's too easy to hit. One dude gets through a crisis, other has a suspect chin. How do you decide which is which? Interesting question.
I wanted to correct myself because I said earlier it would be a fun fight, Joshua and Jared Miller. I met Jared Anderson.
Yes.
That would be the fun fight later on. Just wanted to point that out. I think how you react to getting hit is the big difference. And I think, like I was saying, I'm getting my Jareds confused. Anderson, who just fought, he showed me a lot. Because, as you like to say, when you got Camacho'd or Rosario'd, I should say,
oh boy.
I don't think he didn't react like a guy who got Rosario'd. I think he showed me a lot in his character and his in being a young guy and considering the circumstances, fighting in his hometown and what have you. So I like what I saw. I'm still high on him, like Larry Merchant.
Would you consider Muhammad Ali a pretty good heavyweight?
Are you talking about
because I just point this out, and Breadman Edwards tweeted it today, and I was going to bring this up. If there was Twitter back in the mid-'60s after the Henry Cooper fight where
he
that
dropped
big
him?
left hook
Sure.
and Angelo Dundee had to kind of pry open the gloves. Hey, we need a little break here. And there was another fight that he had against Doug Jones at the Garden that he struggled.
Yeah.
They would have said, Ali's a fraud. He got exposed. He ain't nothing.
Listen, especially with heavy. First of all, it's boxing. You're getting hit.
Yeah.
Especially at this level, you're going to get hit. It's inevitable. And especially with the heavyweights, that more than anything, the punches are.
It's a tightrope.
It's a tightrope. So you're going to get hit. It's inevitable. You can't fight a perfect. No one's not going to get hit.
By the way, De La Hoya, when he got drilled to the canvas, flash knockdowns against Narciso Valenzuela and Giorgio Campanella.
Yeah.
Then I remember he was hanging on for dear life on the inside against John Molina.
Yeah.
Everyone said, okay, De La Hoya's a fraud. He's not tough enough. He turned out okay. Yeah. Now, but
anyway, actually ended up having like a good
it
set of
turned out
whiskers.
as soon as he got his ass back from not being in the sauna for an hour.
Yeah.
But they also took some steps. That was the fight where Bob Arum said, that was scary. We need help. And that's when they brought in Jesus Rivero to help out Alcazar.
Yeah.
So maybe Anderson does have to kind of think about, do I need to expand my horizons in terms of what I'm being taught?
You don't have to necessarily get rid of your guy. That's
Right,
been
just
with you.
add.
Just add, exactly.
Here's one from the Tasmanian Wills. What makes an undisputed champion these days? It used to be holding the IBF, WBC, and WBA.
I would say it's still...
And WBO, though. The four belt there.
I would say that's the criteria.
All right, I have a question, though, because there's this online debate. Do you consider Teofimo undisputed or linear? Because you got to have all four. I think part of it is you got to clean out the division and have all four belts. Technically, Teo just won one fight against Taylor. There's other belt holders. Do you have to collect all the other belts? That's kind of my thinking.
But there's so many things and factors that are out of your control to make that happen. To me, I still think if you beat the man and he was the man in that division, then you're undisputed. To me, in my eyes.
Even if he vacates all the other belts and there's three other belt holders that are pretty damn good.
He vacated them. Yeah. He vacated them. He didn't lose them. He vacated them.
Because I do believe there's a difference between lineal champion, the number one guy, and then you have undisputed. I mean, again, it's very convoluted. That's boxing. Here's a question from Shy Guy. Question to both you and Mario. Let me punch it up here. A buddy of mine is not sold on Poo Poo Andre, his words, and Big Charlo. He believes that Danny Jacobs would have smoked both of them in the past. Do you guys agree?
I mean, it's hard to kind of go back and, when you go, I was going to say a generation. I don't know if that'd be a generation, but that'd be, to go back.
They're still all active. So
yeah,
it's definitely this generation.
It's this generation. He was early in the generation, though.
But Danny's more battle tested, though, by far. There's no doubt
yeah,
about
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. And he's faced more dangerous opponents. Gosh, I can't even say the last time I saw Boo Boo fight.
Well, he actually fought on the Tank Davis fight, and he got knocked down by Desmond Nicholson on the first fight of the pay-per-view. So basically, Mario, like everyone else,
because I wasn't there. That's right.
They missed it too.
That's exactly because I wasn't there. No, that's right. He fought. That's right. I wasn't there.
But here's the issue. One thing about Jacobs at the upper levels, outside of Peter Quillen, which may have been a quick stoppage about 5-6 years ago.
I remember he was a big middleweight.
He's good enough to last.
Yeah.
And make it competitive and make it interesting. He's never really dominated anybody, but he is more battle tested. I will say that for him.
He had that fun fight with Sergio Mora, remember?
Yo, man. I remember Mora actually knocked him down, too. And Mora was not a great puncher.
Yeah.
Here's one from MGA for Life. Guys, I think Jared should be looking for a different trainer now. It's good to be loyal to the boyhood team, but he needs to get with someone with a proven track record of developing fighters. The talent is great, but the fundamentals need work.
Well, I don't even think it's the fundamentals so much as it is the defensive liabilities. And we just discussed he doesn't need to get rid of his guy, but just add someone.
And I do believe he needs to keep fighting. If he had any delusions of grandeur that, hey, I'm 2 fights away from a title, I'd say, try about 5 or 6.
I agree.
Let's be realistic about this. And here's one from Loco. Orale. Do you guys think the UFC will try to take over Cinco de Mayo and Mexican independence dates from now on? Because that's happening this September, I believe.
Yeah. Listen, currently they've got 3, and this is unbelievable because they only have 8 champions in the weight classes. It's like old school boxing. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're the original 8 weight classes from boxing.
Nat Fleischer approves.
Isn't that crazy? But that's how Dana wanted it because he's really a boxing guy. And of those 8 champions, 3 of them right now are Mexican, believe it or not.
Orale.
Is that crazy? Considering it's a global sport.
Chingon.
But I don't necessarily, obviously it'll work out well if you happen to have a Mexican fighter who's a champion fighting on that date, but I don't know if they have to be, because as we know, Mayweather fought a lot on that date and sort of took over. But I think Dana, because he's savvy with those particular dates and he was a boxing guy, I think they will start to kind of take over, and then it'll be a head-to-head deal.
If it fits, they'll do it.
Yeah, if it fits.
Because
Exactly.
doesn't the UFC, they do a monthly pay-per-view in addition to the roster of other fights. Sometimes it happens like, hey, if we have an Ortega or a Julio or a Gonzalez, yes, we'll go on those dates, but they do things a little bit different. They do things more logically than boxing, which is very, very fractured.
It's expensive to be a UFC fan, too. The pay-per-views come not just once a month, sometimes even more frequent.
Yeah.
Final flurries.
Moving on to final flurries. Mario, I have a question. Much of the sports world in the NBA is talking about Zion Williamson and his entanglement with Miss Mills, Mariah Mills. I have a question for you. Do you think it's more alarming that Mariah Mills may be pregnant with his child because she put up that pregnancy test, or the fact she tattooed his name on her right cheek?
I was hoping,
and I mean the face.
I was hoping that was fake. Was that fake or was that real?
I don't know. I hope it
looked
is.
pretty real.
It looked pretty real.
That's Fatal Attraction 2.0 right there.
Watch the bunny rabbit. Might get boiled.
That's bad.
Glenn Close.
Oh my God! Look, when you're messing with exotic dancers and adult film stars, I clean that up.
Yeah, well, you really did.
Then you're in dangerous waters right there, player.
Because once you get tattoos in certain places with the name or the face, that is a declaration of, I'm planting the flag. You're not going anywhere. I'm like, oh my God.
That's where the people start to run. Yeah, that.
Oh boy.
Poor. He better call Maury. Figure out if that kid, if in fact
Are you
pregnant.
the father?
Yeah.
Mario, this past Friday was the birthday of one Michael Gerard Tyson. Happy 57th to an American icon. And I'll be honest, I was not a big Tyson fan growing up because I was a big Ali guy. And
You're not a big Tyson. That was our era. What's the matter with you?
You're right. And I've come to appreciate it more and more. And 57, I go back to that era, and I went to Montebello High School, which is 97% Mexican. I can honestly tell you, the nights that he fought that next day at school, it was talked about just as much as Julio Cesar Chavez or the Dodgers or Raiders.
Oh, Mexicans loved him, of course. And, I loved him since we were kids and continue now. And if you think about Tyson, it's an Only in America story where he became the youngest heavyweight champion. He was 20, but he could have been 19 had that fight happened a couple months earlier the way it was supposed to. And he achieved all this fame and glory. And then my guy got locked up, right? And actually did some time.
91 to 95.
Yeah, he did some real time. But then that didn't matter because he was such a nice, authentic guy and people liked him. He was able to come out in movies like Hangover. And
he's reinvented himself.
That's what I'm
no
saying.
doubt.
But that's what I'm saying. But Only in America kind of story. And now he's big in the cannabis business, and he's still, any fight he goes to, people love him. Thunderous applause all the time. And 57, pretty young considering how long he's been on the scene.
When he beat Michael Spinks in 90 some odd seconds in the summer of '88, I literally thought this guy's going to go 100-0. And it taught me a lesson, though, as I look back now. Never judge a fighter in terms of all-time status till it's over. Because I remember the veteran boxing writers, guys like Bert Sugar, were saying, my God, when it comes to all-time great heavyweights, it's either Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, or Mike Tyson. That's what they were saying. I remember reading those stories. And when he lost to Buster Douglas, February 10th, 1990, of my senior year of high school, everyone at school who didn't watch the fight wanted the VHS tape. I mean, it was the talk of the town.
I remember a few months before Chavez Taylor.
5 weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks, actually.
I'll never forget before my senior year of high school.
What a year for boxing.
Playing Summer League Baseball. I'm on the Montebello Brewers at Grant Ray Park. We totally ripped off the Brewers uniforms and the logo and everything because the MB. So there was this one game in late July. I didn't want to play in it because it was a Mike Tyson fight was on HBO. Because most of his fights actually were not pay-per-view early on. People forget that. So I'm warming up. I'll never forget. Grant Ray Park, I'm warming up. And I'm telling my coach, God, man, we're missing. Because he was a boxing fan, Mexican guy. And I go, man, we're missing the fight. Warming up in the first. Because, don't worry about it, Steve. You get a tape. If I get a tape, I'll show it to you. Don't worry.
A tape.
So he walks off. 5 minutes later, he comes back. Hey, Steve, don't worry about it. Fight's over. I go, what? And he goes, yeah, he knocked out Carl Williams in like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
By the way, it was his last fight before Buster Douglas. It was the last successful title defense he had, and it was like a big thing.
Yeah.
So when you see Mike Tyson, who had endorsement deals, an iconic video game, I don't think any fighter now can reach that popularity, Mario. Even a Canelo or even anyone, a Tank Davis, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, maybe George Foreman did. But I don't know. I'm trying to rack. I remember when he did the interview with Robin Givens, what a big deal that was with Barbara Walters.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about that nationally.
When you look at, and you have to look at the whole body of a career, and you mentioned George Foreman. George Foreman, to me, is in my Mount Rushmore of all-time greats because he had a successful career as a young man, and then he was able to capture the title and become the oldest heavyweight champion as an older man, oldest ever, as a matter of fact. And then he had success outside of it with the grill and what have you.
The great American pitchman.
Managed to still have his faculties, be a preacher and a broadcaster. Just overall, his career, his life, it's a Mount Rushmore top, but wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. And the movie, I'll say it again, it was actually pretty good. And you know I'm tough on boxing movies.
I know.
It was better than Creed. Speaking of iconic figures, Arnold on Netflix. Our guy Tino said, Steve, you got to watch it. I was like, you know what? I enjoyed it. I really liked it.
Arnold's always been my favorite, man. Never do you see someone achieve such greatness in 3 different areas. 7-time Mr. Olympia, never been done. In bodybuilding, it's an incredibly tough sport. I like how they're so flagrant about the steroid use and all, but they were all using it and they were all open, and and he would tell you what he was going to do. Congratulations, you're getting second place. Yeah. He would tell you. And then became the highest paid actor, biggest box office star in the world, could barely speak English, which, by the way, his English has not improved. 50 years he's been here.
Part of his charm.
Yeah, I know. I love him. And then was able to marry a Kennedy and become a governor. If you saw it in a movie, you wouldn't believe it. But man, all that, and I love me some Arnold, but why do you have to smash out the housekeeper and and throw a monkey wrench in his family? And the kid, who I happen to know, Joseph, is a nice kid, and obviously it's not his fault.
He's the most in shape of all the kids.
Looks just like him.
Thing.
He got the genetic. He's
pumping iron
right there.
He's pumping iron.
Oh my god. But it kind of taints all the other stuff, because what good is it? You know what I mean? It's just and I know we make mistakes, but why did it have to be like the housekeeper in your home? That's a monkey wrench.
I appreciated the fact that Arnold is very grateful to the opportunities of this country. He's a true patriot. He loves America. He's not bitter about it. And I think there's something to be said about that. Mario, this is interesting. My former place of employment, ESPN, a lot of changes.
No, they cleaned house.
A lot of big names.
Changes.
Wow.
I think it was financial reasons, but
yes,
a lot of boxing guys too. Your boy, Max Kellerman, is no longer there. That was surprising.
He'll bounce back. He'll have opportunities.
Yeah. No, he's been there for a while. I was just surprised in many different aspects. Andre Ward, he's no longer there. Other names that you're familiar with? What's his name? Basketball.
Steve Young.
Steve Young's no longer there either? Oh, man.
Todd McShay, draft guy.
Yeah, part of the Fab Five.
Jalen Rose. Personal
no
favorite of mine, Susie Colbert, who I thought brought professionalism and class. I'm a big fan of hers.
Wow. A lot of people, a lot of notable people.
I'm going to say something about Andre Ward that's going to surprise a lot of people. I found myself disagreeing with Andre a lot. I did. I can't even say I'm really a fan of his as a broadcaster. And when he was a fighter, me and him did not get along when I was on that side of it against him. We had, I would say, a pretty tense relationship. But, and this is going to surprise people, he will be missed from that team, and I'll tell you why. He provided the perfect counterbalance to Tim Bradley, who's much more the fan-friendly, exciting, gregarious guy. And I've said this, if you're going to have Joe Tessitore, all right, and of course Bernardo Osuna, who is the do-it-all guy, great guy. You can't have 2 Tim Bradleys if you're going to have 2 fighters on that desk. You got to have that contrast. Sure. It wouldn't work with 2 Andre Wards. It wouldn't work with 2 Desert Storms as much as I liked him. I thought that dynamic actually kind of worked. I think he'll be missed.
You know what? I don't disagree with that. I think that Andre will also just be fine. Possibly at Showtime, or I know he's got fans at other places. I'm curious to see who they're going to follow up with in that spot. Listen, for me, fighter turned broadcasters, the 2 guys that I tell you that I really like who aren't locked in anywhere at the moment are Paulie Malignaggi and Antonio Tarver, who we had last week.
Yes.
I think those guys who are former world champions, and it's very difficult to get behind the mic and call it like it is, and I think they do a good job. Do you agree?
Yes, and by the way, both their nicknames are the Magic Man. What are the chances of that?
Oh, wow, that's right. I didn't even think about that. That's
by the way, our guy Tim Bradley, I want to say, Tim, thank you. Thank you for saying that trainers and fathers do not mix.
We were trending last night.
That thing went viral. Boy, people are upset at Tim Bradley.
We forgot to ask Boots because his dad.
Oh, that's why I think I know the answer to that. But Tim is always welcome here because I love the fact Tim is not afraid to say what he's going to say.
That's our guy.
By the way, believe it or not, I looks like I'm going to the UFC convention this upcoming week in Las Vegas. By the way, programming note, we're taking a week off next week, but we will be back second or third week of July. We're not going to miss that many weeks. What is this UFC convention about? I heard it's a big thing, though.
Dude, it's awesome. And you have to go to the facility they have there. It's like UFC land, like Disneyland.
Really?
Oh, my God. You've never seen such a great workout facility. The equipment is
state of the art. I've seen videos.
It's next level, but and then the different pools and the equipment, the octagons, the rings. It's just, it's incredible. You could be there all day and not use a half of the equipment. It's incredible. You're gonna love it. And then the actual its own little theater and performance area where they have the institute there. You're gonna trip out.
Is that connected to the Apex?
Yeah, it's all
wow.
it's all in this big compound, this whole area. About 10 minutes from the strip, if that.
All right. So anyway, folks, if you'd like to get involved with the 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our fine program, we still have some slots available. Please reach out to us by emailing info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid.io is an online platform that is launching soon that helps public figures and professionals in the world of boxing get sponsorships. We are proudly working with boxbid.io. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again, and thank you to Jaron Boots Ennis. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
That's right.
And we won't be gone too long. So on behalf of Mario Lopez, Smoke, and Tim Frazier, and Tino, till the next round, goodbye, everybody.